Good evening. Welcome to the Planning and Development Advisory Committee meeting on the participation and in person for May the 14th. There'll be two meetings tonight, one being the Committee of Adjustment, where we are dealing with two minor variances before us. Then we'll follow that meeting with the Planning and Development Advisory Committee, where will we be providing comments to the county on 4/7 applications and to council, council for one rezoning application. So please note that the meeting is video and audio recorded, and all electronic meetings are uploaded to the municipality YouTube page. By registering to participate in the meeting and by electronic means, you are consenting to have your likeness and comments recorded and posted on YouTube. So we'll start with the roll call. Amanda Knight. Present. Chris Picard. Present. Paul Sundell. Present. Jeffrey Bourne. Present. And I, Councilor Joseph Poulos, is present as well. To my right, we have our Secretary Treasurer Lynn Banks. To her right is the Communications Coordinator Laura Emery. And at the far end, we have County Planner Zach Prince, and beside him is Mihail Superwala, Township Planner. So we'll do a moment of reflection now for a few seconds. Thank you. Number 4, then. Confirmation agenda.
That the committee approves the May 14th, 2024 agenda as amended and circulated.
Okay, I'll move on. First, second, Amanda, all in favor? Thank you. Do we have any disclosure of conflict of interest on this? None? Okay, thank you. So we'll move to 6.1. Read that, please.
That the committee of adjustment approves the minutes from the meeting held on March 12th, 2024.
Mover. All seconded by Jeffrey, on favor. Okay. Okay, so let's move into the hearing part of the meeting. The purpose of these hearings is to inform and provide the public with the opportunity to ask questions or express views with respect to minor variance applications before us today. The township requests you please notify the secretary of the committee by email at lbanks@postoffice.ca if you wish to be on record and would like to be notified of future hearings and decisions regarding a specific application. Likewise, we have sheets here for each minor variance that you can also sign. You prefer to do so. The format of the hearing will be as follows. The application to be heard will be read, and staff will be asked to display the relevant information. Staff will then present the information report, specifically outline the purpose of the application, summarizing compliance with township notification and submission requirements, and outline staff comments. Then we'll ask the applicant to come forward and present the purpose and details of the application and any further relevant information. Following this, we'll asking the public if they have any questions, who would like to express views on a particular application, and we'll give them maximum 10 minutes to speak. Following this, members of the committee can also be ask questions and obtain clarifications. And if a member wishes to ask a condition to one of the applications, I'll ask for a vote on condition, and then we'll deliberate the application with any approved conditions and render the decision, and the decision will be subject to a 20-day appeal period. Okay, so would you please do the first one, and Laura, would you please put up the appropriate drawing?
Minor variance application D13, Doug 7, 10 Telford Line Street, Township Postage, requesting relief of new comprehensive zoning bylaw number 23-2018 as amended from the following. The first request is section 4.2.8.I, additional residential units, to permit the floor area of the additional residential unit to be 138.47 square meters instead of 130 square meters as required. The second request is for section 4.2.C.4.1 additional residential units to permit an ancillary building to have a height of 5.4 meters instead of 5 meters as required.
Thank you. So, the applicant please come forward and, present the application.
I'll look at the screen, I guess.
Sure, absolutely.
So I've been living in Launceston since 2008 with my family. We had 5 kids. Since 2008, 4 have moved out, married, and have their own places. We have a daughter with us still, who's 26. And we're living in the main house. But as time went on, our kids grew. They have kids. And my oldest son and his wife have got 4 grandchildren. Or their grandchildren, they're all their own boys. And they wanted to look for houses in the area. As you know, the cost is almost prohibitive for them. So they were thinking of going to Texas. They think it's much cheaper, but we were very saddened, but they changed their mind. So what we're going to do, we understood after communication with Hustler over the last 2 years, we found out we could have 2 additional dwelling units, 1 attached, 1 detached. So we opted for the detached. The reason being is we are going, I'm 67, going into retirement, and we would have like a in-law detached home, but we'll be close enough to help the family out and so forth with babysitting and just to be close to the family. And so we would move into the detached. But with us would come our builder. So the minimum that we could get was 2 bedrooms, one for us and one for our builder. And the designer of the house designed to the 138 square meters, which is 8 meters over the maximum. And we felt it was worth the effort to go for a minor variance, because to narrow the house by 2 feet is already taking a lot over. If we've been there for 20, 30 years, it makes it much more not as conducive. And so we wanted to go for the variance for the 8 meters, square meters for that. But the height of the building, who informed us was 0.5 over, but my designer then changed the slope of the roof to bring it under, but he calculated from the back and not the front. And so to go through another round of drafting and so forth, we felt that the variance was minor enough that we don't think anybody would have a problem with an extra 0.4 meters. And if it happens to be, we can roll it again. But since we had a variance already on the line, we thought that wouldn't be a showstopper. So that's the reason we're building for our kids. They're only ranging between, one just was born a couple of months to, so the grandkids to about 8 years old. And my son is about 40 and his wife about 40.
Thank you. So have a seat and we'll see if there's any registrants or requests to speak on.
Well, no, Mr. Chair, we do not have any.
If you would you please canvass the audience, see if there's anybody in the audience who have any questions.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, there are not.
Okay, great. So let's turn over to committee members. Okay, start with you, Amanda. Questions?
Sure, just I guess a question of clarification. So in the proposed accessory structure, it mentions additions. Is that the plan to keep that unfinished?
Correct.
And that wasn't included in the calculation of the total floor.
But who was, I believe he was the one that was redoing that.
Another clarification question, and I think it's, The application talks about, an accessory residential unit with the area of 138.47 square meters. But it looks like, if I'm reading this correctly, the building is 168.05 square meters. That's a substantial difference. So can you clarify that for me, please?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner. So when we look at the habitable room, we calculate inside of the room. So when you see the calculation, the outside wall thickness are excluded and covered porch and the veranda are excluded. So that's why the amount is a little bit bigger than.
First building area is the that interior. That helps. Thank you very much. That's it. Thank you.
Paul? Oh, Lynn, do you have any, staff comments?
Certainly, I can give notice of the application, was given in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act, and notice requirements for the application have been met. The following comments were received. By the township's bylaw, Public Works and Fire Departments had no concerns. County of Wellington had no concerns. Source Water advised that since the property is located in a vulnerable area, but the activities as indicated would not create a significant drinking water threat, the application can be screened out. It does not require Section 59 notice under the Clean Water Act. The MTO has advised that they have no objection to the minor variance with the condition that the following MTO permit be required. The permit requirement is for MTO building and land use permit, which will be required for any future subject lands to construct the additional residential unit. Township's building departments that they have no concerns from a building code perspective with the proposed minor variance. But they did note that building permits are required for both the new accessory dwelling and the septic replacement and upgrade that's proposed. They also noted that a fire separation between the ADU and the unfinished basement storage area will be required as part of the review. And they will provide full technical comments on receipt of the complete permit application.
Any questions? Lynn? Okay. So, let's get into the actual decision. So I'll go around the table. It's going to be either approved, opposed, or deferred. I'll read the actual, documentation. Now, Section 45 of the Planning Act as amended, new comprehensive zoning bylaw 023-2018 as amended, an application for minor variance requesting relief. One, to permit the total area of additional residence to be 138.47 square meters instead of 130 square meters at the time. And to permit an auxiliary building to have a height of 5.4 meters instead of 5 meters at the time. Condition is building permits are required for both the new accessory dwelling unit ADU and septic replacement for the proposed. The fire separation between the ADU and the unfinished basement storage will be required as part of the review. And the second condition, infield building and land use permits will require for the future work on certain plans to construct an additional residential unit. So let's go around the table. For the review on I approve. Okay. Approved. So when I'll turn, so Paul approved. I should as well. So this is subject to 1 day of the approval.
I'm gonna pass that on the front.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Thank you.
The resolution one,
Certainly, Mr. Chair.
this is the one that you said.
That the minor variance decision is made by the committee be approved with the noted conditions.
Yeah, moving. Paul, something, checking, all in favor? Okay. So you want to, second one?
You want me to read the application?
Yeah, the application.
Certainly. Minor variance application B 13-FRE, David Fur, 38 Eagle Lane, Township of Westland, requesting relief of new comprehensive zoning bylaw number 23-2018 as amended to facilitate the addition of a deck to an existing single detached dwelling.
Good. Would you please put up the church, And, language of summarize application, notification, submission requirements, outline staff, agency, public comment, and recommendation.
Certainly. Notice of the application was given in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. Notice requirements for the application have been met and the following comments were received. The DRC noted that they provided comments on the 2022 minor variance application to permit the residential addition in the NE zone, and they did issue permit 723-21 for the addition. Further to the previous comments in GRCA permit, they recently reviewed the plans for the proposed cantilever and determined that a GRCA permit would not be required for the proposed deck. And further noted that they do not have any additional comments and have no objection to the proposed minor variance. Source Water is advised that since the property is located in a vulnerable area, but the activities as indicated would not create a significant drinking water threat, the application can be screened out and does not require a Section 59 notice under the Clean Water Act. But they said, they did note that they may provide comments on any future applications that are subject to this property, given the vulnerable areas. And the County of Wellington has advised that no concerns, provided any concerns by the GRCA are addressed.
Okay, thank you. So, would you please have the applicant, join us for?
Mm-hmm. I believe that's Mike, right? Michael?
Yeah, you can prepare.
David Fuller?
He's becoming a panelist.
Yes.
Can you hear us, Mike?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay.
So would you please state your name and, address for the record?
It's Michael Luscombe. I'm the agent for this file.
Great, thank you, and, please proceed with the presentation. So, start to put up, sketches of your proposed, deck and, please proceed.
Okay, essentially it's just a cantilever deck on the existing addition that's already done on site. There was a door on this addition that was leading to nothing on the original permit, so now it's just a permit to add the deck. And that's it.
The registrants who are requesting to speak,
No, Mr. Chair, I did not receive any.
is there anybody in the audience who would like to comment or ask questions?
If there's any registrants or attendees in the audience virtually, just use the raise your hand function if you'd like to speak, and I can promote you to a panelist. No, we're good.
Okay, just going to go around the table. No? No comments, I'm in favor. No, Paul? No comments. Okay, no comment. And I have no comments as well. So we'll read the, actual document, please. We have section 45 of Planning Act was amended, the new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-22 is amended an application for minor variance requesting relief to facilitate the addition of a deck to existing single detached dwelling. Amanda? Chris? Approved. Paul? Approved. Ethan? Approved as well. And it'll be subject to a 20-day appeal period.
Yeah, would you like me to read the resolution?
That's the resolution.
That the minor variance decisions made by the committee be approved with no conditions.
We'll move on.
Thank you.
Second, first, all in favor? Great. All right, so let's move into, reports. Mary, available?
She's not online right now, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so let's move on to, new business, any new business, committee members? No?
Mr. Chair, if I can just remind the committee that May 28th is the Committee of Adjustment Training at La Formosa Township from 9:30 until 3:30.
Thank you. Okay, Chairman?
Certainly that the Committee of Adjustment hereby adjourns at 7:19 p.m.
So move it. First, second, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's move into the, Planning and Development Advisory Committee. We'll do the roll call again. Amanda Knight. Chris Barnes, President Paul Sergio. Present. Present. Both are present as well. And the memory inspection for a few moments. Thank you. So let's move into the next item, disclosure of conflict of interest. No? I have one. I declare pecuniary interest on item 9.14, service application B 39-24, Moore Ferry, part lot 20, from section 2, municipally known as 4432 Southwood 20 North, Township Muslims. I have a lot located in London County, Road 34, approximately 500 meters away from the 47th. I have a potential pecuniary interest as the creation of the new lot may have an effect on the value of my lot.
Sir, I should, also, I haven't submitted my form, but, that specific, item would also be a conflict for myself as well.
Can you, write up the form?
Yeah.
We can give you the form.
Yeah.
And then you can go.
Will be, delegations, we have none. Consent agenda, then we keep, with the, resolution.
That the committee approves the May 14th, 2024 PDAC agenda and receives the report as circulated.
Okay, now we move it. Amanda, seconder, Chris, all in favor? Yes. Okay, notice of public meeting, then you want to read that up, Paul? Notice of public meeting.
On June 12th, 2024 at 7 p.m., there will be a public information meeting held in person in council chambers here at the municipal offices, and also by electronic participation through Zoom regarding the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, D14-AZI, Usman Aziz, and the property address is 6706 Gore Road.
Thank you. Okay, so let's, move into reports, land division, so, Lynn, please, read off 9.11.
Certainly. Permits application B03-21, file D10 MCC, Daniel McMaster, part lot 6, concession 1, municipally known as 4445, Wellington Road 32, Township of Muslims. Proposed severance is 69.44 meters frontage by 116.77 meters for a total of 0.81 hectares. Existing woodlot recreation for proposed rural residential use. Retained parcel is 39 hectares with 228.43 meters frontage on Wellington Road 34 and 862.58 meters on Wellington Road 32. Existing and proposed agricultural and rural residential use with existing dwelling, bank barn, drive shed, garage, and shop.
Thank you. So, I'd like to point out that the committee's mandate is only to provide comments to the county land division committee when they consider, any of these southern applications for approval. And, I'd like to point out that this meeting is also, this part of the meeting is also audio and video recorded. And, it's be uploaded to the municipal YouTube page, and by registering to participate in the meeting by trying these or presenting of your likeness and comments recorded and posted on YouTube. Okay, so we'll have the applicant come forward for the first one.
Please, Chairman, might I send a infused vertebrae?
Absolutely, you're expected to sit. You're expected to sit. So would you please, state your name and address for the record, please?
I'm Jim McMaster. I'm a veterinarian for the last 45 years in the area. Born and raised in Quizlet. The 93-acre farm that's in question here in Severance, as it's been pointed out already, it's on 4445 Holmes County 32. Dad and I took a severance off 24 years ago, a 2-acre severance off the same, the corner to the left. And, yeah, and the family settled this farm in 1832. So we've been there a little while, many of them. The 2-acre lot first presented to you by Zoom to this committee in December 21. There were no objections at that time, but the peer reviewer of the scope study, the environmental study, made some suggestions about the tree use, and Zach's colleague, Joanna Salzberg, made a recommendation that we change the dimensions of the lot. The first lot was 200 by 200, but it was mainly forest, so we've extended the length of the lot, narrowed the frontage, and we have about 1/3 of the lot is now a building envelope. It's about 180 feet by 140 feet out in the open hillside of sand and gravel hill. And, yeah, there it is. We're coming back at you with a new sketch.
Okay, so, Lynn, were there any agency comments received that you could read them?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Our township's building bylaw and fire departments had no concern. And the county of Wellington has advised that they have no concerns, provided the following matters are addressed as conditions of approval. The first is that the submitted EIS be peer reviewed to the satisfaction of the township and the county of Wellington. Second, that zoning relief be provided to the satisfaction of the local municipality. Third, that access can be provided to the severed parcel to the satisfaction of the appropriate road authority. And fourth, that servicing can be accommodated on the severed and retained lines to the satisfaction of the local municipality.
Okay, Lynn, were there any registrations received this week?
No, Mr. Chair, we did not receive any.
Okay, so are there any attendees watching the hearing who would like to give comments or have questions? This application can be heard, we'll receive you at the Land Division Committee. Zach, do you have a date for that Land Division Committee meeting? June 13th. June 13th. Okay, so let's go around the table. The community, see if you have any questions. Let's start with you, man.
No questions or comments.
Nothing for me. I think you guys are all-
All?
Questions.
Okay, and I have none as well. So, Lynn, would you please read out the conditions that were applied to this application and, should we want to add?
Certainly. The first condition is the owner satisfy all the requirements of the township of Portland, financial and otherwise, including taxes paid in full and the consent review and condition clearance fee. Second is that the submitted EIS be peer reviewed to the satisfaction of the township of Portland and the county of Wellington, and that the owner shall be responsible for any township costs associated with the review of the EIS. Third is that the zoning compliance for both the proposed retained and severed parcels is achieved to the satisfaction of the township. Fourth is that any fees incurred by the township for the review of this application will be the responsibility of the applicant. And fifth, that servicing can be accommodated to the satisfaction of the township for the severed parcel.
So, members, do we wish to make a motion to support this application? I would move by members, seconded by Chris, all in favor? So, that's the and resolution for signing.
Certainly. Resolution is that the committee supports seventh application B 103-21 revised, subject to those conditions listed previously.
All in favor? All. I approve. Thank you. All right, thank you. Move on to the next one. Hold on, get your lines up today.
It's quite all right. Our next seventh application is B 28-24 D10 SCR, Wythe and Rosemary Scrivener, part lots 21 and 22, concession 9, municipally known as 4438 Watson Road South in the township of Portland. Proposed severance is 38.9 hectares with 599.26 acres frontage. Existing and proposed natural habitat with large shed for proposed conservation. The retained parcel is 7.51 hectares with 304.46 meters frontage, existing and proposed rural residential use with existing dwelling, garage, workshop, and shed.
Okay. And were there any, agency comments received at the office meetings?
Certainly. The township's building bylaw and fire departments had no concerns. The county of Wellington said that subject to the committee being satisfied, they have no concerns provided the following matters are addressed as conditions of approval. First is that if what driveway access can be provided to the severed and retained lands to the satisfaction of the appropriate road authority. Second, that servicing can be accommodated on the retained lands to the satisfaction of the local municipality. Third, that the zoning compliance can be achieved to the satisfaction of the local municipality and the county of Wellington. And fourth, that any concerns of the conservation authority are adequately addressed.
Okay, then were there any registrations received this week?
No, Mr. Chair, there were not.
And I'd like to, advise any attendees watching the hearing, would like to give comments or questions regarding the application and then discussion. Please be advised that your comments can be heard at the land division meeting, scheduled for, 13th. Okay, so, can we have the presenter come forward, the presenter here that we can,
Through you, Mr. Chair, Tom's joined us.
okay. Tom, would you please
I'm
state
here,
your-
yes.
On average for the record, please.
Hello?
Tom, do you hear us?
Yes.
Can you please state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Tom Woodcock. I work for the Rare Charitable Research Reserve located at 1679 Blair Road in Cambridge, and I'm acting as agent in this matter for Wyeth and Rosemary Scrivener.
Okay, please present your application.
Thank you very much for hearing this application tonight. I just wanted to briefly introduce my organization. Our executive director did a council presentation to the previous council before, but we are a land trust organization, nonprofit charitable organization, headquartered in Cambridge and operating in the region of Waterloo and Wellington County. Currently, we own 4 conservation properties in Wellington County, but none in the township of Puslinch as yet. Our organization's mandate is to conserve land for wildlife habitat, for ecological services, and also for conservation, research, and education activities. Our organization works with the Ontario Land Trust Alliance, and we are also a qualified ecological gifts recipient, which allows us to receive donations of land from people who wish to conserve their property, which is the case with the Scriveners. This also helps to work towards Canada's international commitments for conserving land, which is a particular challenge in Southern Ontario, which is heavily populated, and land parcels are small, privately owned, and very expensive. So assembling meaningful parcels of conservation land is quite a challenge. In this case, the Scriveners are interested in donating conservation land on their property to our organization for protection in perpetuity. We don't have any interest in any form of development, any form of construction on the property. There is an existing shed on the property, which is unheated and unserviced, and would simply be used as sort of an emergency shelter. There is also approximately 30 acres of agricultural land, which are currently leased to a local farmer, which is something that we would plan to continue if that farmer is willing, or possibly seek another tenant farmer. And the remaining approximately 65 acres of land are a variety of naturalized habitats, upland forest, cedar swamp, areas of provincially significant wetland complex, and so on. So our organization would be seeking to steward these lands for the benefit of nature and for the benefit of the community going forward. A couple of things that were listed on the listed on the report. There's a condition of zoning compliance. We will be filing a zoning bylaw amendment application as soon as possible to change the zoning of this land to agriculture, from agriculture to open space, which would or environmental protection, which would prevent any further development on the property under the zoning bylaw. The GRCA has been involved in this project from the beginning, including delineating the wetland area near the edge of the property on the Watson Road South frontage in order to ensure that the proposed severance line is in compliance. And the driveway or parking area, there's a gated entrance where that blue star is on Watson Road South, which should be adequate. It's passable to most vehicles. My small front wheel drive sedan drove in there and out with no problem. But I should emphasize that the intent is not to convert this land into a facility or an attraction. It's not intended to be open to the public. So we wouldn't expect to need, facilities or a parking lot or anything like that. I believe I submitted the severance sketch on a slide as well. So you can see the property lines. Some questions were raised about the size of the retained parcel where the Scrivener's residence is. But you can see the locations of the buildings, and there's a long driveway that goes out to Watson Road South, which explains the large size of the parcel needed to accommodate the residence and the garage and the driveway. And then the remaining property would be subject to the donation. And I believe that's all I wanted to say. If anyone has questions.
I guess we should ask if anybody in the public would like to ask questions.
I did not receive any requests.
Nobody,
Correct.
okay, let's go to you.
I have a question that may be better directed to staff. One of the conditions that's being suggested is that the owner obtains zoning compliance. Mr. Woodcock indicated that it's their intention to, go through the zoning bylaw amendment process to.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Well, it's a question of staff.
Yeah, I can't hear the question. I'm so sorry.
I'll speak up a little bit. Is that any better?
Yes, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, so it was just more of a process question, pertaining to one of the conditions that's being proposed by staff. And Mr. Woodcock had indicated that it is their intention to go through a zoning bylaw amendment to change the zoning on the property to prohibit any future development. That's not necessarily a requirement, if I understand this correctly. Like, if they were just severing this property and it wasn't for the purpose of donating the land to Rare, they would be able to put, say, a residential dwelling on the property. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. It was requested. Sorry.
It's a question of staff, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, through the chair, no, the owners did have a previous severance, section 4.4, which was the 1 acre, lot severance. I need to confirm the year still, but it has been since 2005, so staff would not support another severance for a rural residential lot. So for us to support this as a conservation use, it would be only under the condition that there's no development.
Okay, thank you. And staff is confident that the wording of that recommendation achieves that goal.
Yeah, through the chair and through the intent of the application being that.
Perfect, thank you.
What will this property look like in 25 years? How will it be different than what it is now under Rare stewardship?
Sorry, I have to unmute myself. Well, hopefully it wouldn't be different. So we would be stewarding the property, so managing agricultural activities appropriately for the property. We would be monitoring for invasive plants in particular, which is a major problem across all of our area. We would look for opportunities for restoration, for example, tree planting in appropriate areas. There are some areas of monoculture plantation on the property which could conceivably be diversified. So the maintenance for those plantations would be to thin trees as required and then possibly add additional tree species. But for the most part, when we have a high quality property such as this one, the idea is to let it continue doing what it does. If we have ownership of it, then we can protect it from possible issues that arise down the road.
Thank you. That's it.
Okay.
Well, I'm good. Thank you. It's been covered.
Yeah, I have a question. With respect to the lot that was covered in 2010, any reason why you would not try to combine it with your lot that you're going to convert to conservancy?
That lot hasn't been offered as part of the donation. It's currently unoccupied. There's no structures on it, but I'm not sure what the donor intends to do.
Okay, because the document's quite explicit saying it's not going to be anything on that property, so I guess the question was, if that's the case, why not put it together?
Hmm.
You may want to ask your client for that when this item goes forward for the zoning.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay, no other questions, so, Lennon, you want to read the conditions?
Certainly, that the owner satisfy all of the requirements of the township of Portsmouth, financial and otherwise, including taxes paid in full and consent review and condition clearance fee. Second is that safe access to the proposed severed lines can be accommodated to the satisfaction of the township. Third, that the owner obtains zoning compliance for the proposed severed parcel and that zoning compliance for the proposed retained parcel be demonstrated to the satisfaction of the township. Fourth, that any fees incurred by the township for the review of this application and supporting materials will be the responsibility of the applicant to be formally outlined through a development agreement as required. And fifth, that any concerns of the Conservation Authority are adequately addressed to the satisfaction of the township.
Resolution.
That the committee supports severance application B 28-24, subject to the aforementioned conditions.
Okay, move on, second. Please, number second, all please. Okay, let's go on to the next one.
Thank you very much, everybody.
You're welcome. Did you read out the next one?
Certainly. Severance application B 32-24, file D 10-SLO John Sloot, Part 9 EOBL, municipally known as 480 Arkle Road, Township of Portsmouth. Proposed severance is 28 meters frontage by 150 meters for a total of 42 hectares, existing and proposed rural residential use with dwelling in shed. The retained parcel is 2.33 hectares with 19 meters frontage, vacant land for proposed rural residential use.
Okay, let's have the applicant come forward. And please state your name and address for the record.
Everybody, Mr. Chairman. Firstly, Jeff wanted me to apologize that he can't be here tonight. He had a meeting. My name is Chris Karofsky. I'm a land use planner, and I'm helping Ben Hardin out with planning items. So I'm here tonight just to speak to this application and respond to any questions people may have.
Please go ahead.
So on the screen, we can stop to the property.
You
And, yeah, it's kind of a long property back, so there's a little bunch of the railway. If you can scroll up a little bit, you can sort of see the roadway. So the land's to be severed, here, lands retained back here. There's an existing driveway that goes sort of between these two existing residences to the back part of the property. And the idea would be to create the severance so that driveway can continue to function to service this rear portion. And quite a large piece in the eye, obviously. We shown proposed dwelling building envelope conceptually, lots of area, lots of places it could go. But that's the general idea. Both the proposed severed and retained parcels will comply with the county's official plan. Land is within a special policy area. It's designated agricultural, but it's within a special policy area that enables it to be treated essentially as secondary agricultural, meaning beverages would be permitted, provided that there is no impact on existing agricultural operations in the area. We looked at MDS. Didn't find any issues there. We comply with all of the provisions of the zoning bylaw with respect to parcel size, excepting for lot frontage, and that would be on the retained portion where the driveway is, because that's a pretty narrow strip, 19 meters sufficient by 6 meters, the bylaw requirement is 25. So I think it's noted in the comments, both from the county and the township planner, that we would require a minor variance, which we're fully prepared to move ahead with. And I've reviewed the comments that we've got. There are no comments I've seen from the Conservation Authority. Didn't appear to be much in the way of a regulated area on this site. So, yeah, unless there's any questions, I think that kind of describes is fairly straightforward.
Any agency comments received?
Mr. Chair, there are a few comments. Fire services, from the township, they have no concerns with the application, providing that vegetation, tree limbs, and if they don't impede the emergency vehicles using the access driveway to the dwelling. Township's bylaw department had no concerns. Township's building department said that, minimum of 3 meters is required for their septic from the property line, and they're showing at least 5 meters, so they're satisfied that the servicing condition can be met. And the County of Wellington has advised that they have no concerns, provided that the following matters are addressed as conditions of approval. The first is that zoning compliance be achieved to the satisfaction of the township. Second is that the driveway access can be provided to the retained lands to the satisfaction of the appropriate road authority. And third, that servicing can be accommodated on the severed retained lands to the satisfaction of the local municipality.
Thank you. So let's go around the table and then the questions.
Maybe just a question for staff, and this may be premature, and I apologize for putting staff on the spot. But with the requirement of the applicant having to go for a minor variance for the frontage, just off the top, is that something that staff would see supporting? Is that 0.6, I think, meter, 6 meter efficiency in frontage?
I think yes. We have a previous application that comes through with those kind of findings, and as long as the building department doesn't have any concern over it, I think it should be.
Thank you.
Because it abuts the railway, is the railway offered any commentary, one or the other?
I haven't seen any comments from them. We've got, and that's sort of Gulf Junction Railway is one of those lines. It's not a main traffic carrier. I know there are trains on it, and I know typically the requirements from the railway with that sort of status level are not as onerous as they would be if it was a, you know, secondary main line. But I've seen no comments, and you know, we've got plenty of room to, as I said, it's a big parcel of land between the backs of the abutting lots and the railway line. So lots of area to work with. Don't think it should be a problem to put a house in there. Obviously, one of the considerations here is there's a number of existing houses in the area. And this would, you know, basically be adding one more character.
This is total, but maybe drawing right, this house would be a little closer to the railway line than most, if not all, of the existing houses. And even though it's an infrequent line, and I live several kilometers from it, I hear it too. Right, and it's just a question of, in the future, the noise, vibration, odor concerns of residents. So the assumption that that's been considered as they look at doing this.
Well, yeah, I think this property line measures 151 meters. Typically the setback for a rail line is in the area of, I think, about 30 meters, plus or minus, maybe, or 15 meters even. So we've got ample room. Definitely if a train rolls through there, whoever's living in the house will obviously be aware of it, as are all of the neighbors. And I mean, I really don't know how to respond to that. We don't have any conditions from the rail line. I don't know if they will respond by the time this gets to the land division committee. And, you know, obviously if they do, we will need to address. But as I say, it's not a mainline sort of track that carries many trains at high speeds with a large number of cars. That's it. Thank you.
First, I might help to know there's a condition in the with our comments, and it's basically that the owner shall be required to sign an affidavit stating they will insert a warning clause in the agreement of purchase and sale of severed lands. Goes on with all this other stuff. And there is a request to put them in for
I'm trying to keep them, I recognize that, we don't get them, thanks. I'm clear to the council getting out of those complaints.
Yeah, that type of condition would be typical.
Yes. And
Yep.
That's one good thing.
So, no one goes well. So when would you read the conditions?
That the owner satisfy the requirements of the township of Portsmouth, financial and otherwise, including taxes paid in form of consent review and condition clearance fee. Second, that the owner obtains zoning compliance for the proposed retained parcel for reduced lot frontage. Third, that the owner should be required to sign an affidavit stating that they will insert a warning clause in the agreement of purchase and sale for the severed lands regarding the Gulf Junction Railway located near the property, advising any potential purchaser of 24-hour and weekend railway operations, no whistle station in place, possible early morning maintenance and capital projects occurring pending the freight train schedule, and advise of no trespassing on the railway property. Fourth is that any fees incurred by the township for the review of this application and supporting materials will be the responsibility of the applicant to be formally outlined through a development agreement as required. And fifth, that servicing can be accommodated for the retained parcel to the satisfaction of the township.
Do any of the conditions, members of the time? Okay, then would you please read the resolution?
That the committee supports severance application B 32-24, subject to the aforementioned conditions.
Okay, mover, all second, Jeffrey, all in favor? Thank you. So, we're gonna be doing the next application, which, I have to clear conflict of interest, so I'm turning the chair over to, Chris Patel. Yep.
Me again.
Okay. So, will read the application that are below.
I can read that for you.
Then to do it, display the material on the screens, please.
Yes.
So this is Severance application B 39-24, file number D 10-M00, Terry Moore, part lot 20, concession 20, municipally known as 4432 Side Road 20 North, Township of Clifton. The proposed severance is 1.4 hectares with 79.5 meters frontage, vacant land for proposed rural residential use. And the retained parcel is 2.6 hectares with 69.5 meters frontage, existing and proposed rural residential use with existing dwelling pool and sheds.
Thank you. We'll note, of course, that this committee's mandate is to provide comments, only provide comments to the County Land Division Committee when it considers this matter for approval. And Zach, can you confirm that this will occur on June 13th?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So, the applicant agent, Mr. Krosky, is here already. So we will ask you to present the application.
Okay, as you,
Oh, actually, I should ask you to state your name and address for the record.
my name is Chris Karowski, land use planner, and I'm working with Van Harden. Assisting Jeff on this file. We apologize for not being able to be here tonight. So this application, kind of an unusual shaped parcel, U-shaped, surrounding two existing residences. Lands to be severed, shown here, house, septic, pool, and there are some comments regarding the pool that I'll talk about. And the retained is, will effectively keep a U-shaped parcel, but it'll just sort of narrow up this end. Driveway will, kind of similar to the last application, still come through here. And there's additional frontage here, about 62 meters. A lot of that is sort of encumbered by trees and natural areas. So that's why the intention is to utilize the existing driveway in the current location so as not to disturb that natural area. This application complies fully with the zoning bylaw in terms of lot regs and lot areas. MDS was checked on this one as well, no issues. Again, we don't have comments from the Conservation Authority. I'm sure there will be comments probably before the Land Division Committee meeting, but as there are natural areas which I've mentioned, we are not really planning to disturb those at all. And this site is zoned agricultural SP1. It's a special zoning category. So what the SP1 means is that in addition to other uses, a dog kennel is also permitted. And my understanding is there is no dog kennel there anymore. There may have been at one time, but no longer, at least for the past 5 years or so. As has been commented on by your planner and the county planner, we comply with the county's official plan. Sites designated as secondary agricultural and parts of it are natural environment. Yeah, you know, again, another lot sort of being created in an enclave where there's existing houses. I think it's an efficient use of land to be able to get another lot with another house in this location. It will be compatible and fit in with the surrounding area. And unless there's questions, I think that covers it.
Thank you. Lynn, were there any registrations speak to the matter?
No, Mr. Taylor.
Is there, Laura, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak?
No, there's not, Mr. Chair.
Lynn, any written comments received?
From the Township's Building and Fire Departments, they noted that they have no concerns. Our bylaw department also noted that they have no concerns, and the county of Wellington stated that they have no concerns, provided the following matters are addressed as conditions of approval. The first is that zoning relief be provided to the satisfaction of the township. Second, that the driveway access can be provided to the retained lands to the satisfaction of the appropriate road authority. And third, that servicing can be accommodated in the severed and the retained lands to the satisfaction of the township.
Thank you. Clerk, remind you of your comments, if there are members in the audience or online, comments can be given to the land division committee on. I'll go around the table then for the, accepting the folks who have recused themselves, questions from the committee. Amanda,
No questions or comments.
Jeffrey?
No questions from me.
And I have no questions.
Do I ask a question?
Of course.
Just on one of the conditions, the clarification or confirmation on the zoning bylaw compliance.
With the pool enclosure,
Oh, right.
township swimming pool enclosure bylaw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the zoning bylaw.
No, it's the, and I did check with our bylaw enforcement officer. I had spoken with Haley about it, and he is satisfied with what Haley advised us, that there is an offense around the pool. He's satisfied with, we will put that condition in and get something in writing from him regarding that he's satisfied, so we can put it on.
Okay, that's perfect. There's really no issue with the fact that use is permitted, they're not planning.
No, he had no concerns once he saw her email.
Okay.
Sorry, so, we should try to-
Okay, then I just wondered, why we needed to do that, because it's, the special condition allows a kennel, but it also permits other uses typically permitted by the zoning bylaw. Yeah, I don't think there's any intention to put a kennel in there. And is that something that could be perhaps picked up by the township if, like, the township was ever doing an administrative amendment to its zoning bylaw? Like, it's just sort of an additional, cost and process item that the owner will sort of have to absorb to really deal with an administrative matters. Got nothing to do with what they're applying for.
Yeah, so the figure that'll be for the township to determine, but effectively by severing the lot here, you're allowing a kennel on two properties, not just one. So that retaining lot is also a kennel. So that's why it's like it. And I'll move us to the panel of this members of the committee have any conditions they would like to add. Any of the comments we make, yeah. The Bible, my only one is, the comment is to remove. All right. So, script here, move in second, for, sorry, Chanel. Are we in approval? In general accord with the recommendation? Yeah. So then do you need to read the resolution again?
I can, and I can read out the conditions prior to reading the resolution. Conditions would be that the township follows all the requirements of the township, financial and otherwise, including taxes paid in full and the consent review and conditional clearance fee. Second, that zoning compliance for both the proposed retained and severed parcels be demonstrated to the satisfaction of the township. Third, that servicing can be accommodated to the severed parcel to the satisfaction of the township. Fourth, that the owner demonstrates they're in compliance with the township's swimming pool enclosure bylaw 2018-018 to the satisfaction of the township. And fifth, that any fees incurred by the township for the review of this application and supporting materials would be the responsibility of the applicant to be formally outlined through a development agreement as required.
Do we have a motion to approve? Jeffrey, second. All in favor? And passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Return the chair, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, move on to zoning bylaw applications. You wanna move on up?
Certainly. The zoning bylaw amendment application D 14-AZI, Uzban Aziz, 6706 Gore Road. Completion Gore Front, Part Lot 9, Register Plan, Reference Plan 61R-7925, part of Part 3 on the Township of Clifton.
So, what would you please, put the line on the board?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair.
And while that's happening, I'll just note that the committee's mandate is only to provide comments to council, and the council considers this, matter for approval.
All right. I believe we have the agent now online. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome.
Sir, would you please state your name and address, for the record?
My name, Nick Scarrett, address is 647 Welham Road, Barrie, Ontario, L4N0B7. And agent for the property owners at 6706 Gore Road.
Okay, thank you. So would you please, present your application?
Hey, good evening, committee members. As you know, my name is Nick Scarrett with Innovative Planning Solutions, here to speak on behalf of the owners in attendance tonight for the lands municipally known as 6706 Gore Road. The purpose of this presentation is to provide an overview of the proposed development and zoning bylaw amendment and receive feedback from the committee. The intent of this application is to facilitate the rezoning of a portion of the agricultural lands to agricultural with exemptions in order to permit and facilitate the development of a dog breeding use which falls within the kennel definition within the zoning bylaw. Next slide, please. The subject site, shown in red outline, contains a total lot area of 7.8 hectares with approximately 307 meters along Gore Road and 408 meters along an existing rail line. The property currently contains open field agricultural areas which were used for agricultural purposes and previously used horse paddocks and associated horse track. This portion of the property contains vegetative areas and the property is currently bordered by trees. The existing structures are currently used for dog breeding kennel operation within the large barn structure, 2 medium-sized sheds used for dog breeding housing areas, along with 2 smaller sheds used for storage. There are associated fenced dog run areas, parking, and 2 access driveways from Gore Road. There is 1 dwelling which the owner-operator resides in and contains an office area related to the dog breeding kennel operation. Fencing and vegetation buffering areas separate the dog breeding kennel operation from abutting properties. Next slide, please. This slide provides a general overview of surrounding land use of the subject property. As you can see from this image, there is a lot of farm and mature vegetative areas around the subject property shown in red outline. Further to the east are agricultural with some residential uses. South contains the majority of agricultural uses and a farmhouse, and west contains agricultural and residential uses. All agricultural and vegetative areas are to remain on the subject lands to ensure protection of natural features and maintain countryside character. Next slide, please. This slide provides a high-level overview of the county official plan with respect to the subject property. The county official plan designates these lands as secondary agricultural, shown in brown, and core green lands, shown in green. The secondary agricultural designation allows for kennel uses subject to municipal zoning bylaw regulations to establish criteria for such uses. This means that no official plan amendment is required to establish dog breeding kennel operation. Rather, a zoning bylaw amendment is necessary to ensure use permissions and any site-specific provisions. Next slide, please. Building off the policy framework of the official plan, the township's zoning bylaw is an implementation tool that contains specific regulations such as uses, setbacks of structures, parking requirements, building height, and landscaped areas. This slide shows an existing zoning of the subject lands. The property is currently zoned agricultural and natural environment with an environmental protection overlay. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment intends to rezone a portion of the lands from to agricultural with exemptions in order to permit and facilitate the development of a dog breeding kennel use. Next slide, please. This slide provides a site plan concept of the entire property and site-specific area as part of the rezoning proposal. This portion of the property intended to be rezoned is central to the property and contains all the existing structures and outdoor dog run areas. The dashed box area contains a proposed site-specific zoning for the dog breeding kennel use, which is approximately 1.08 hectares in size with dimensions of 108 meters deep by 100 meters wide. All areas outside of the proposed site-specific zoning will remain agricultural in use. The environmental protection areas will remain to be protected from development impacts. This image shows setbacks from dog breeding kennel structures and outdoor dog run areas from the closest residential structure located at 6700 Gore Road. The purpose of this measurement is required for distance separation from kennel uses and residential uses. This is to ensure that there is an appropriate distance from the kennel operation. This separation distance is identified as a site-specific zoning exemption as part of the rezoning proposal. A list of site-specific exemptions will be provided further in this presentation. Next slide, please. This slide provides greater detail to the area intended to be rezoned. The image on the left is a site plan drawing that provides details of building locations, setbacks, outdoor dog run areas, vegetation, fencing, access driveways, fire route, and location of utilities. The image on the right is a rendering with reduced details to provide a clear illustration of building locations and uses. Overall, the area to be rezoned encompasses these structures within the 108 hectare area. For additional context, the operational function of the business is solely a dog breeding operation, and no dogs or animals will be boarded on this property. The maximum number of adult dogs housed on site for dog breeding purposes is 25 and will remain on the site permanently in line with the kennel bylaw regulations. There are 44 dog pen areas within the existing structures and 4 outdoor dog runs. Permanent adult dogs will be housed in individual separate pen areas to ensure safe, spacious accommodation above industry standards. The remaining dog pen areas are utilized for infant young dogs for the ability to relocate adult dogs to clean dog pen areas while other pens are cleaned. This ensures that adult dog accommodations are continuously maintained for optimal treatment of animals. The facility will not be open to the public. The only option for members of the public to access the property is with respect to purchasing of an infant young dog through scheduled appointments. This will occur within the hours of 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Similarly, dog breeding kennel operations will function between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. The goal of the operation is to adhere to applicable legislation, including the Township of Puslinch zoning bylaw and kennel bylaw. The operation will provide employment of 5 full-time and 3 part-time staff members, in addition to the owner operation residing on the property within the existing dwelling. Next slide, please. The area noted with cross-hatching with the zoning provision A-SP number sign illustrates area to be rezoned in relation to the entire parcel. The remaining portion will continue to be zoned agricultural and natural environmental zones. Next slide, please. This slide lists the proposed site-specific exemptions to establish dog breeding kennel use on a portion of this property. This list includes the permission to allow for a kennel use, which includes dog breeding, restrictions on the total size of existing structures and outdoor dog run areas, restriction in setback from residential use at 6700 Gore Road to the dog breeding kennel use, and that all other regulations within section 4.13 of the township's zoning bylaw related to kennel uses be applicable. To note, these additional zoning regulations are to ensure the dog breeding kennel operation remains within the existing layout, size, and area. It also helps identify separation distance from the residential use. The zoning bylaw requires a 125-meter setback to existing residential dwellings from the kennel use. The proposed reduction to the setback provision is to 97 meters. Through the submission of a noise study and the establishment of a typeboard fence with vegetative screening from the residential use, the reduction in setback is justified. All other provisions of the zoning bylaw have been satisfied with respect to parking, landscaping, building size, heights, as well as all other provisions of section 4.13 related to kennel uses. Next slide, please. In conclusion, the purpose of this requested zoning bylaw amendment is to rezone a portion of the subject lands from agricultural to agricultural site-specific exemption to reflect the legalization of a dog breeding kennel operation on the subject lands. The proposal is consistent and aligns with provincial planning interests and policies, supports preservation and protection of agricultural through the creation of an area of the subject property specific to dog breeding kennel use, protection and maintaining natural environmental areas, and provides opportunities by diversifying the economic base within the countryside landscape. It is our objective, subject to the zoning bylaw amendment process, to adhere to municipal licensing requirements for kennel operations, as well as any detailed requirements as part of the site plan control process with the township. Next slide, please. This concludes the presentation, and I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. We'll have some housekeeping items to go through first. Lynn, were there any agency comments received?
Mr. Chair, this has been circulated through 4 submissions. The zoning application has to make sure that all of the outstanding concerns with respect to this application have been addressed to the satisfaction of township consultants, staff, and county planning staff.
I believe it went to council as well.
It did go to council to deem the application complete a couple of weeks ago, and that was approved, and we'll be moving to a public meeting in June.
Thank you. Okay, Lynn, are there any registrants who have requested to speak?
No, Mr. Chair, there.
Okay, well, is there anybody in the audience who wants to say anything?
Is there any members online that have anything to say? Please use the raise your hand function.
We're good.
Let's go around to the-
So I have a question about, so it sounds as if the use is currently existing on the property, is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to address the question from the committee. Yes, the use is currently operating on the property, and we are going through the process with the municipality to legalize that use. This is our first step.
And can I ask what the catalyst was for coming forward with a zoning bylaw amendment application?
As IPS was not originally retained, we were brought in halfway through the zoning bylaw submission process. From my understanding is that we were told by the municipality that we needed to legalize the existing use through the zoning bylaw amendment process, which initiated us to make application.
And a question for staff, has the township received any comments from the public at this point?
Not at this point. Further will be the public notice went in the newspaper last Thursday, so I'm sure we won't be receiving comments.
And I guess one more question for staff, again, I know maybe not being fair, but, and maybe premature to say, but at this point, would this be an amendment that staff would support?
Found out is size from dog kennel to complaint basis. So in order to legalize, we need to go through a certain process, which will legalize the illegal use. So that would be the process we would approve.
Very diplomatic answer, thank you. That's all I have right now.
Several questions. This is a complex application in many ways for us. There's a note that township does not appear to have any records of building permits for the kennels or the septic system. What's the owner's intent to legalize that situation?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to address the committee's question regarding septic systems and buildings. Subject to council's decision, our next step would be to go through site plan control, which is a very detailed process with the municipality to provide additional information such as septic verification, size, making sure there's adequate servicing, and down the road, subject to site plan control, would be any building permits necessary for that. As you can imagine, prior to our client obtaining these lands, buildings sometimes get erected on properties without permits. We would be looking to bring any construction into legal status with the municipality.
Thank you. Reading the acoustical report, they talk about small dogs only. And I infer from their report that they think size relates to volume. Is that the case? Do you understand that to be the case?
So through you, Mr. Chair, to the committee's question, are you, just so I'm clear, you're understanding that infant dogs are small in stature?
No, it's the breeds that they are proposing to breed there are small dogs. No, it's not relating to puppies, it's about the breeds of dogs. And my inference from the report is that they're saying small dogs don't generate the same sound levels as large dogs. Do I understand that correctly?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm unaware of. I'm not a noise expert, so the breed of dogs would have to be within noise tolerance levels as specified by the consultant within the submission. So we'd have to adhere to those noise sound levels or mitigate those sound levels to the satisfaction of the town.
Moving on, do you know how many dogs barking simultaneously they used in their acoustical models? So one dog barking is different than 5 dogs barking.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I don't think I can answer that question. The material submitted within the noise bylaw, or sorry, the noise study, is done by a separate consulting firm and has been peer reviewed by the township's noise consultant, and appears to be satisfactory. So I don't think I can answer that question at this time.
Thank you. You may not be able to answer my other questions, but I didn't see an analysis of, so we're at, the applicant is asking for reduction in setback from 125 meters to 97 meters. I didn't see an analysis in the acoustical report of the impact of that distance reduction on the noise levels on the abutting properties. Do you know if that was considered?
The abutting properties across Gore Street or the abutting properties.
Any that are points of reception?
Yeah.
Use the points of attention?
They're outside the 125 meter distance from the kennel use to those residential uses.
So, What happens if the owners get noise complaints? What if they get the zoning bylaw amendment and legalize the kennel and still get noise complaints? They've done all the noise mitigation, the fence, the planting, etc., the hours of operation, the closed windows. They still get noise complaints. What's going to happen?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to address the committee's question regarding noise violations. Similar to any violation that the municipality would investigate, they would need to further investigate on their own merits to see if there is a violation. Through that investigation and coordinate with the landowner to ensure that the violation in question is within regulation. And if not, then necessary measures would have to be taken to rectify that violation.
Thank you.
Paul?
I just wanted to expand on the setback part. I'm still trying to understand that, the setback from when it was reduced from 125 to I think 97. Is that, which residential dwelling is that according to? Is that the one that we're, and maybe I can ask I'll ask the presenter, is that the actual home that he's residing in, or is it the neighbors that were out of the 125?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, to address the committee's question about distance separation, it's from the neighboring property at 6700 Gore Road. The separation distance wouldn't be from the existing dwelling on the subject lands, which are within the site-specific zoning proposal.
Thank you.
Joseph?
My questions have all been asked and answered. So no more questions.
The dogs, you're saying that, noise report says any dogs that are, less than 4 months old are considered puppies, and they're not included in the calculation for noise, or even for capacity of the kennel. Is the intent to sell all the, puppies before they're 4 months? Because of their around longer than that, it's going to be increasing the 25 amount to 100.
To Mr. Chair, to address the question, and if I hear you correctly, there's a lot of audio feedback. Is it with respect to infant dogs and the duration of time they are there before they are purchased?
It is, because the kennel, the bylaw says no more than 25 dogs. And puppies under 4 months are not considered part of that count. But once they go over 4 months, they are considered part of the count. So the question is the intent to sell all of them before the 4 months, and what happens if you don't?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, our intention is to fully comply with the kennel bylaw of the township. And our intent is to ensure that there are no more than 25 adult dogs on the property, subject to the kennel bylaw regulations for age of animals.
Currently, right now, one of the members asked whether or not you are in operation. So currently in operation, how many dogs are on there right now? Full complement?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm going to ask our client to answer that question. And that question was, how many adult dogs are currently on site?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi. So we got 25 adult dogs at the property.
At this current moment, they have 25 dogs?
Yes, please.
Okay. So a question of staff, you mentioned earlier in response to the, Aman's question that, if there's been complaints, you know, if there's specifically complaints related to the noise or related to, that there's something going on that's not properly zoned.
To the chairman, I'm not aware of that complaint, but I'm sure by law able to provide that.
Maybe
I don't have access to what the complaints are because they're confidential with their law. I can tell you what the complaint was originally that drove the request that they comply with the zoning bylaw.
Okay, I don't think I have any other questions. So let's go around the committee, members, any advice we want to give to council, when they consider this, matter?
Maybe just a question of clarification, given that this is personally my first zoning bylaw meeting, is it the committee's mandate to provide advice to council as to whether or not this should be supported, or just items to consider when they're making a decision?
Vote, or just for one? Typically, typically we've done in the past is we've, either we approve, we agree with it, or support or not support it, or we, stay silent on it and have closed a number of issues that, council should be concerned about.
Okay, with that said, personally, I have a tough time supporting this application, given its proximity to other residential dwellings in the area, given the concerns over noise, given the fact that it's an existing operation illegally and there have been complaints around it. For those reasons, I personally have trouble supporting it.
Good.
Yeah, I think my advice to council would be to delve far more deeply into the noise question. I identified, perhaps our answer's out there, when I identified it, I had report a couple of times, because I'm not sure how SLR generated their numbers. And if I were living next door, I would probably be on the that said, what I see in much of the application speaks to the rest of the population. But the noise aspect, I think, needs more attention.
I really liked how Amanda said exactly what I was gonna say. I think, the setback from the neighboring property, a few of the points that you've made are, I have a tough time with this as well.
Or you would not recommend supporting it?
I kind of agree with the rest of the committee. Found to the neighbors, at the end of the day, even if with all the accommodations that would be required to satisfy and legalize the operation, would include some pretty significant, I would think, sound remediation, fences, berms, you name it, but it might be required. And I think that the council and the reviewer and the committee should have a very close look at that before approving it.
So, we've got, two members, did not support it, do you have any comments on supporting or not?
I wouldn't say I would not support it. I would say I would want to know a lot more about the solutions.
You know, if you're asking me, I'm leaning towards the not, but I need to know a lot.
Okay. So what I'm sort of getting a flavor of, the committee is very concerned about the noise, in particular to, any points that have been issued currently or, complaints made currently. And, difficulty supporting it is difficulty supporting it unless the noise issue is properly clarified. Does that make sense, or is that, yeah, or you are outright, saying? Okay. So, we just sort of summarize that, what you've got there?
Well, I have that the committee has difficulty supporting the zoning bylaw amendment application. Unless and until the noise issues are properly clarified.
Okay. Is that, need for the money simplification? Yeah. Okay. All right, so, a mover and a seconder, and a second by all on favor? Great. Good, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, staff reports.
So, for new business,
We have a staff report 931, we got, for financial budget training.
that's Ms. Hassan.
Good evening, Committee of Adjustment. Is that the committee that I'm presenting first?
It's, committee, planning development. Committee.
Okay, sounds good. So the report in front of you is just our annual finance and budget training report. You would have received this report in the previous year as well. It just provides some background information on the township's budget process, including timelines in place and requirements from advisory committees if they do wish to submit 2025 budget requests. The budget process starts as early as now. And so I'm sorry, my daughter's just sitting here right now. So I just wanted to maybe provide a quick summary of the report, and I can answer any of the committee's questions that you may have. So basically there was a schedule to the report regarding the 2024 approved operating budget for PDAC and the Committee of Adjustment. There's also some information within the report regarding processes for 2025 budget requests. So basically, if there are any new 2025 budget requests that are required, these require both a committee memo and an advisory committee goals and objectives proposal form. So there's some information in this report regarding our procedures around that. As of the date of publishing this report, there were no 2025 budget requests received. But should there be any requested for 2025, there's a table there that could be, the committee could actually provide as part of their committee goals and objectives for council's endorsement. And basically, department heads are responsible for preparing base budget increase requests or capital budget sheets for any new requests that have been approved by the committee as a whole. So there's some information in there regarding our budget development and control policy and a link to that policy, as well as some highlights in the policy directly within the report. There's also some information in the report regarding our council committees and other appointments, compensation, benefits, and expense policy. And there's also a good guide in there in case any of the committee members are going to any conferences in 2024 or in future years. So that's a quick summary. I'd be happy to answer any of the committee's questions pertaining to the report.
No
question from me.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Oh, no. Okay, I've asked Lynn to look into see if there's any courses that would be of interest, so she can bring back to the next meeting so we can, discuss them, related to advisory committee, and also as well related to the, committee of adjustment. So we can discuss that at the next, each meeting. Mary, the report for the, advisory committee, is it just basically the same cookie cutter except the titles have changed from, advisory committee to a committee of adjustment?
Yes, they're both the same report. I just provided one for each committee.
Okay, so I really don't want to go back in and out type of thing, into the other committees to do that. So they're both the same, and my comments apply to both committees. Okay, Mary.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Okay. We need to receive this now.
Then the report and Committee of Adjustment Report 2024-002 be received by the committee.
All, Councilman Jeffrey, all in favor? Two, correspondence, any correspondence?
No, Mr. Chair.
Any new business?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Chairman.
That the Planning and Development Advisory Committee hereby adjourns at 8:41 PM.
President, President, all in favor? So thank you.